Hello everyone and welcome back to Whiskey Wednesday. I'm filming this quite late at night, so I'm a little bit quieter than usual. I apologise. Work is just very busy. Today I'm here to talk about this rather unique release from BenRiach. It's a 40-year-old whiskey at 43.5%, and it has been launched in collaboration with Block Bar, who have done quite a lot of work in the past with premium spirits, Dalmore, Dom Perignon, Royal Salute, a few others. Block Bar kindly sent me this sample, which is very nice of them. It's quite a sizable sample of one of the bottles in this NFT launch. And they've got some words they'd like to say, so I'm just going to put this out there because it was nice of them to send me a sample. BenRiach has launched its first ever NFT release exclusively on Block Bar, and this features a BenRiach 40-year-old and a BenRiach 40-year-old Octave. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Limited to just 10 limited edition NFT twin sets with behind the scenes access to the distillery. I will put their website just below with a direct link to these products. This whiskey in itself is quite unusual, purely in terms of its history. So I'm going to put my phone away. This is said whiskey. It's been in the glass for about an hour. This liquid was originally distilled and laid into a barrel on the 14th of October 1976. It was then recasked into Octave barrels on the 16th of June 2011. My birthday is the 16th of June, and I didn't realise that until I read the rest of the email, so that's quite a coincidence. And then it was bottled on the 12th of September 2017. So just before being a 41-year-old, literally a month off. This is the unpeated version, which when it was recast into those Octave barrels, the Octave casks were built from staves from refill and first fill bourbon casks. My experience with Octave barrels has only been sherry, so this is my first experience with a 40-year-old whiskey that's been set in an Octave cask in some point in its life. It's limited to 137 bottles, although only 10 of those bottles are available as part of this NFT. The other part of this release is a 40-year-old peated BenRiach, which in itself would be probably very delightful to try. But that's enough about Block Bar and NFTs. There's my notes. Let's get rid of those. I really like BenRiach. It's one of my favourite Speyside distilleries. Some of the best single cask whiskies I've ever had have been official BenRiach bottlings, mainly in virgin oak. So to have a bourbon Octave cask is particularly interesting. So let's smell, let's taste, and let's dive into a 40-year-old bourbon Octave cask. Considering it's only 43.5%, nose has got a nice bit of heat to it. And as far as I'm aware, this has had zero sherry influence at all. But it smells like blackberries. Blackberry and peach. Very refreshing, juicy fruits. There's little wafts of caramel and like tonka bean and vanilla. Honey. I'll be honest, it almost, minus the coffee bit, has the smell of an Irish coffee. I don't know if any of you have been to Schofield's in Manchester, or any Schofield's bar for that matter. Their Irish coffee is the best I've ever tried in my entire life. And they shake the cream with honey and great tonka bean on it, and it's just got all of that. With these, peaches, blackberry. It's like opening a sort of fruit salad tin. That hit of just like sugary soft fruit. There's a little bit of like tangy cherry in there. And then something that I always get with BenRiach and have over nearly a decade of enjoying BenRiach has been brown sugar. Every single one of their whiskies has like this really nice brown sugar note. And I don't know if that's coming from the bourbon cask they're sourcing or if it's just like part of the distillate. That'd be quite unusual if it was, but it is in there. let's taste it. I don't think that was quite 40 seconds, maybe it was even a little bit longer. Ooh. See if I can just move my head out of the way. See if we can show you folks the kind of coating we've got on this glass. Getting quite a lot of sheen off the lights in here. Okay. Those big fruity notes maintain all the way through it. They do not die away at any point. Something which becomes so powerful is that brown sugar note. It's kind of like burnt butter, brown sugar, molasses. It's crossing over into numerous different things here. In my mind, I'm mentally comparing this to BenRiach 40, which is unfair because they're two very different whiskies at very different strengths and very different cask influences as well. But it's not often I get to try two 40-year-old whiskies in a year, so that's quite nice. Even as I'm talking to you, there is this heavy, like, maraschino, cherry, luxardo, cherry, chewy, sticky, thick, molasses again. Almost like the tart part of a lemon. I know this is unusual. Not the beautiful scent of a lemon and that kind of fresh lemon zest and the lemon rind and like that. When you actually, for whatever reason, have bitten into a lemon, that tartness, that's trying to kind of circle around and cleanse everything off. The middle, the middle part of the palate, when it continues with these kind of big fruity notes, it's moving into like really indulgent raspberry and strawberry. If you give me that blind and told me it was from a port barrel, or port was involved in it in some way, I would definitely believe you in some fashion. While I let this kind of move around my palate and think about what is going on, the price on these are not cheap. They come as a set, so it's 2 bottles. I think after the cryptocurrency exchange and however you choose to pay for them, I think it works out about $8,000 for both bottles. A personal viewpoint at this point would be that, from my experience of the secondary market and investments, BenRiach, not the hottest secondary retail investment property in terms of Speyside whiskies, but maybe they're trying to make it that way with this. Here to purely review the whiskey though. I'm not going to let my own opinions on NFTs warrant this taste of this whiskey, because some people may watch this video who can afford to buy that and might want to buy that. The finish is still going on. The cherry thing's back. Again, that tart lemon, like bitter lemon. Was that what it used to be called? You used to buy it like a little bottle. And like customers used to order at the bar from, it was like gin and bitter lemon. It tastes like that, like a really tart lemon soda without the fizziness. And then yeah, that raspberry note. And that black currant thing, which is coming back around, it's turning slightly minty, which makes sense because of the barrels, right? So think almost like that very sort of cleansing, deep menthol aroma from like blackcurrant strepsils. Obviously, it's not as mentally and, intense as that, but that sugary coating that leaves around your mouth. It's a really good example of BenRiach. It's not my favourite BenRiach ever, and we are here purely as a whiskey reviewing platform, but were to score it, give that, in terms of 40-year-olds that I've tried, like a solid 7.5. Perfectly good whiskey, nothing wrong with it. Is it worth the money? You know, if you walked, I don't know what the exchange rate is at the minute. So it's $8,000 for 2 bottles, $4,000 a bottle in theory at 40 years old. I'm not sure what that changes into pounds right now, but BenRiach 30-year-old is about £600. You think about other 40-year-olds in the range. BenRiach is now £2,000 a bottle. Glenfiddich is, I think, nearly 3,000 at this point. Macallan 30 is 5,000, depending on where you shop. Can be as high as 10,000. And these are brands that people will pay this money for these bottles. But I'm not too sure BenRiach fits into that mould. Things can change, times can change, and they are indeed now owned by a significantly larger company. So that could be the space in which they're shooting for, which is bold. Not because the whiskey's bad or the company's bad or anything, it's just, you know, that space is occupied by the largest brands in the world. But you can't shoot a dog down for trying, can you? But overall, I give that like a 7.5. In the grand scheme of a very old, expensive whiskey that I've tried, it's not the best. It's very nice, but it's certainly, again, if you give it to me blind, it's not blowing my mind. It's just good, you know. And if you've got that kind of money and you want to buy something good, feel free to. But yes, thank you very much to the team. I don't think it was Block Bar that actually sent me this. It was a company called Spey, and they called me Joe, so they must have watched some of the older videos, not seen some of the newer ones. But yes, thank you for sending me that, guys. If any of you are interested in just checking the bottles out, just looking at them, like I said, the direct link will be below. And yeah, that gets a 7.5 out of 10 from me, and I will see you all next week. Cheers.